Hello, welcome back to the podcast. It's Whitney, your host. And last episode, I shared about my year and how 2025 was not an easy year for me in business. And I've heard from some folks who listened and said they really appreciated hearing the perspective, knowing they're not alone, and that they also had some challenges in 2025 as well. And I also shared in last episode that I was doing a survey to you, to my audience, to find out how things are going for you right now in your business and what you're struggling with, what you need more of, what are those things that are holding you back? What are the bottlenecks? And what I thought I would do today, I actually had a different episode planned, but the survey results so far have been so enlightening and interesting, and just in that same spirit of sharing what everyone is going through and maybe giving you a little bit of affirmation that you are not alone and what you're going through is probably very similar to what other people are going through could be helpful. So what I want to do is actually just go through and share some of the results that have come through from the survey so far. So the survey is still open as of this recording going live. We still have a few days where we have the survey open, and when you give us your feedback and respond to the survey, you are also entered into a raffle to win a $100 gift card to Amazon. So if you still want to have your voice heard and share what you're working on and what is the biggest bottleneck or struggle for you right now in business, then go to whitneybateson.com/survey to respond. So January 14th is when we're ending the raffle, but we'll leave it open for a few more days. I really want to get as many people's input as possible. So the point of this survey is obviously to hear from you, but I'm also trying to figure out what can I be doing this year that is going to be the most beneficial and transformational for you. I love that I get to talk about websites and help practitioners with your websites, but there is so much more that goes into growing a business beyond just getting your website working. It still remains one of the foundational important pieces in all of the systems and the marketing that you're doing in your business. But then you need to be marketing. You need to be doing actions and things in your business. And we'll be getting into that in the survey results. But I want to figure out how can I help you more so that you can grow more easily and just have an easier time growing your business, because it's not easy. And I have other ideas for things, and I wanted to get input on that. So the survey is really trying to collect that from all of you. But then as I was reading it, I realized that sharing the results would actually probably be really beneficial to a lot of people. So that is what I'm going to be doing today, and giving just like a little insight to what this could mean for you. I'm not necessarily going to do a lot of, okay, this is the solution for this, this, and this, because those could all be their own unique podcast episodes. And I want to keep this fairly short, but let's just dive in. The other thing that I want to just mention real quick. So if you want to respond to the survey, even though I'm sharing the results now, I still would very much love to hear your business, what's going on with you. Do that. And then at the end of the episode today, I'm going to be sharing something else that I will be offering next week completely for free. It's just for 1 week, but I'm going to be offering some resources that I think would be really beneficial for some of the things that we're going to be talking about in the results that you all are struggling with and that are really an impediment right now to your growth and just feeling like business could be a little bit easier and smoother for you. So I will be sharing that at the end. All right, let's dive in. So the survey has been really interesting. These are the stats as of this recording, which I'm recording it on Friday, January 9th. So we've had about 60 people respond. A little bit more came in this morning, but I was compiling these stats last night. And so we asked what phase of business owners were in. That was our first question. And so 23% of the people who responded are in this starting phase of business where they're less than 1 year in, they're just getting started. So about a quarter of people who responded are in the beginning phase. And then 41% are in what we call the establishing phase, where they're getting their grounding, they are wanting more clients, they've been in business for maybe 1 to 3 years, and they're still finding their footing. And then 13% said that they are in the growing phase, is what we called it. They are feeling established at this point, and they are looking for that next phase. So they feel like, okay, I'm in a solid spot. What's next? What's coming next? And those people are generally in the 2 to 4 year timeline of being in business. And then the final option was the scaling phase, like moving beyond one-to-one work. You've been in business for 3 or more years, and you are wanting to scale your income, maybe scale your impact, maybe free up more of your time. So in that scaling phase, and 21, almost 22% of people were in that phase. So I would say that it generally, like, half of the people are in this middle phase where you're trying to get more clients, you're trying to get that stability, you're trying to feel established and feel like, okay, I have now conquered this phase. If you think about building business as like these just series of platforms that you are getting onto, these plateaus, and it's a lot of work to get to this one plateau and this one mesa that you can look across the valley and say, okay, I'm here, I made it. But then as soon as you get there, you start looking at what is that next peak? What is that next hill that I want to be climbing? And so there are people who are maybe still trying to climb up to that hill. And then there's other people who are on top of that hill and are like, okay, what's next? And then there's other people who are like nearly at the top of the mountain, and they are wanting to really scale a lot more. But that's the minority of people, and same with people just getting started. But obviously, wherever you are in your business right now is great, and I'm glad that you're listening and you're a part of my community and learning from me and all of that. But that's generally like the makeup of the people who responded to this survey. Now, we did ask about revenue, and we made this optional. I didn't want anyone to feel like they had to give this number. I know it can feel really personal, but at the same time, it's weird. It can feel like this personal number, like we're revealing like our weight or some other number that is unique to us. And because we can definitely assign a lot of judgment around it, and talking about your own revenue can feel weird and icky and boastful or shameful. But at the same time, like, it is just a number and it is just a fact. And I'm not saying that I've figured out and conquered like my thoughts about money or anything like that. But I think also sharing your revenue number with someone else who is looking to help you, I personally, for me, feels almost like this little weight off of my back. Like, I don't need to hide it. I'm just letting it out in the open. We are now, I have revealed myself. I've revealed something that maybe is either a sense of pride or a sense of shame, or just something that I feel is private that I wouldn't typically share to even my friends or even my colleagues, but I'm sharing it with you. And so the people who did respond, I really appreciate it. I know that it can feel weird to share this kind of information, but for me also, I find when I share it with people who I trust, who are going to protect that information and not go sharing it and judging me or using it in any weird kind of way, then it actually just, it feels, man, okay, it's all out on the table now. So that said, we made it optional. About half of the people didn't answer, the other half did. And so of the people who did answer this question about what revenue are you making in your business right now, over half are making less than $25,000 per year. And this was spread across all of the different business stages that I just mentioned. Yes, more established people generally did report more income, but it wasn't like it was a direct positive correlation. As the years in business went up, as so did the revenue, or vice versa. It was definitely just spread all over the board. And honestly, this one, I was surprised and I was frustrated to see. I know that the dietetics profession especially is historically underpaid. I feel like I was fortunate when I started my career. I started working for a contract management food service company, and my pay, I felt even at that point, I think was higher than clinical positions and obviously community positions. We all know in school, we were told, like, if you want to make money, don't go into WIC. And it's okay. What if that's what I really enjoy? It's it sucks, frankly, to not get paid your worth for things that you genuinely care about and want to help people with. But anyway, I digress. I know that pay has always been a challenge in our profession. And I know that growing a business is never a cakewalk. Listen to my past episode, and you've heard me share on the podcast before. This isn't enough money. $25,000 a year is not enough money to run a business, to grow a business, to feel like all of the effort that you're putting in is paying off and working. Even if your expenses are really low, 25K is just, it's not enough if you want it to be your full-time position. So this is motivating me even more to really figure out how can we get practitioners to this 50K range first, and then how can we be getting to the 100K range and beyond. And I don't want to set money goals for you and dictate how much money you want to be making in your business. Maybe 50K for you is enough, or 75K is enough. And I know I'm mixing income and revenue. I know that they are very different numbers, but for just the purposes of this conversation, I'm just going to talk about revenue. It's not always about the money, but we do need to look at the numbers, and below 50K in a business is just tough to make work. It's tough to have any kind of wiggle room for new expenses or taking some time off or doing some investments into your growth and your knowledge and your expertise, or investing in another team member, or whatever you want to do with that money. Not having it be so tight just doesn't allow you to have that like freedom and flexibility that is really needed for a business to keep going and thriving and persisting over the years. Because it's not like you hit a number or you hit a place in business and then you can just coast after that. I know I definitely fell into that trap of thinking that I would just get stuff set up and hit a certain point and then I could just maintain for the next couple years. No, that's not how it works. You have to keep changing because the market is changing, your business is changing, your customers are changing, your interests are changing, your life is changing. It's constant change. And you can't also expect that, okay, this year I made this much and now it's just going to be the same, or it's continuing to grow. You need to expect that you're going to have to continue to make investments in your business, and you're going to have to make some changes, maybe invest in things to learn new things and try new things. And so we just need to have money. Like, that's just the way it is. And maybe I'm preaching to the choir. I know you need money too. But I think I really just want to get focused in on, okay, what are the things that are keeping you from making that money? And how can we ensure that you have the systems in place, the marketing systems in your business in place to help you get to just whatever number you want that is going to give you a little bit more flexibility and breathing room in your business. And I know maybe some people who answer this question are doing this part-time, and so therefore 25K, 30K is fine if you're getting income from another job and all of that. But I'm assuming that for many people, even if you are doing your business right now part-time, if you were making more in your business, maybe it wouldn't be part-time. Maybe you would be quitting that other job that is soul-sucking and taking so much of your time and not paying you well, and instead building something for yourself. And if this thing was working better and you were making more money, that's the thing you would be doing. So that's just something about the money piece. I'm not going to dwell on it any more than I already have, but just know that it is something on my radar, and it's something that was definitely surprising to me. I didn't realize how many people were at that level, and maybe that was just me being naive about it. I don't know, but I appreciate everyone who shared, and there's no judgment in terms of who you are as a person or as a practitioner. It's more, okay, what do we need to be doing to get that number higher? Because that's all it is. It's not your fault. It's really not anyone's fault about how your business is doing. It's figuring out the things that you just need to be doing to make it better. Even when I was thinking too, again, about 2025 and being tough for a lot of people, and we really cannot beat ourselves up about it because there are just so many things out of our control, but it doesn't mean that we then give up either and say nothing is in our control. We're still going to try new things, but I feel like some of it is good news because it's not your fault. Like it's really not your fault. There's just a lot of stuff going on right now. And yeah, maybe the ability to make as much money as people were making in 2020, or depending on what kind of business you were in, but the online business really boomed in 2020, 2021, and now it's shrunk back. And so, yeah, maybe the ability to make like oodles of money is not present right now, but there are still many opportunities to be making money. People still have health problems that they are dealing with, and they still need dietitians, they need therapy, they need nutrition guidance and health support and health services. So that's not going away. It's just that we need to be mindful of how people are making buying decisions and figure that out. But it's not a time to just throw up our hands and be like, there's nothing we can do about it. But maybe it's about setting our goals and our expectations and then moving accordingly for that, and not being so hard on ourselves when maybe our results are not as great as maybe we were hoping they would be or would have been in the past if circumstances were a little bit different. But the world is a crazy place. There's always stuff going on. Okay. One of the things that I most wanted to know, though, with this survey, so I spent a lot of time on those are some of the underlying demographics of people who responded and all of that. But the meat of it is what are your biggest challenges in your business? What are the things that you wish could be better? This question that I asked specifically was, what's the biggest challenge in your business? And I had lots of options and people could pick any kind of option, multiples and all of that. Overwhelmingly and fairly evenly distributed across business stages was, I don't have a consistent marketing system. Nearly 2/3 of people who responded said this. And then the next one that was most responded, which was over half of people, was the biggest challenge was getting more consistent clients as the key problem, just getting that consistency, getting consistent clients, getting more of them. Then the next choice that was highest selected was, I want more stable and predictable income. That is the biggest challenge, that they want more stable and predictable income. And then the next group of options that people selected, all around a third of people selecting all of these different ones, were helping with or wanting help with execution and implementation and wanting to help more people without burning out. And I'll talk about themes at the end here. I also asked people if they were considering starting a group program and what their reason was for having that goal or that interest in starting a group program this year in their business. And this was interesting and helpful too, because not surprisingly, most people said that they want to increase their income and they see having that group program as a way to increase their income. And then one of the reasons too that they want that group program is that they want more stable and predictable income from the group program, and they want more freedom and flexibility in their schedule. So that was all interesting to see what was motivating people to want to have group programs and what their expectations were for what they would get out of those group programs. And I think a lot of this comes down to marketing, a little bit in delivery systems too, because obviously if you're having to get on one-on-one calls with a lot of clients, that can be both draining on your energy, but also it just takes up time. That's an hour that you're spending on a call when you could be spending it doing more marketing and doing more sales or helping 5 people at one time instead of just that one person. So I get that it is a way to scale, but there are other things that need to be going right in your business or things that you need to have in place for you to get that stable and predictable income from the group program and increase your income from the group program. So all of this stuff is just related. Another thing that I asked people was, do you have a website right now and how do you feel about it? And most people that responded did have websites, but half either wanted to make improvements to, like minor improvements to it or major improvements. Most people, or about half of the people, had websites, but really were like not so happy with them and feeling like other things needed to be done. And people who were in the scaling phase, that final phase of business, were more likely to say that their website is good, that they don't have plans to change it right now, that they're happy with it. So I feel that's an interesting thing. One could be driving the other, but I think it does go to say and show that to get to that mountaintop that I mentioned, having your website as one of those systems, one of those like stable marketing core systems, foundational systems in your business, and having it working for you and having you feel that it's working for you and professional and up to date and something that you're really actually using and leveraging every day in your business in some way, it really does correlate to you getting to that point. And I think there are other marketing systems as well that we need to have in our businesses in order to help us get to those different stages. So that leads me to the final question that I had and the themes that I then want to talk about now that I saw in the responses. So the final question I had was an open-ended question. What's the number one thing holding you back from growing your practice right now? And so there were 4 key themes that people shared in these responses and that also align with those other responses that I was talking about in terms of challenges and all of that. So the number one thing that I saw people mentioning and talking about, or maybe they didn't overtly say this, but it is definitely a theme of the responses, was time and time constraints. So many practitioners responded saying that they were struggling with limited time because they were juggling a lot of different things. So they, or maybe feeling overwhelmed trying to balance one-to-one client work, or they had those part-time jobs, or they even had a full-time job that they are working on. And so their business is a side hustle right now, and they just don't have enough time to really devote to the side hustle. And I can totally relate to that. I started my business while working a full-time job, and it lasted 3 months. I knew what I planned to quit. I started the business and then planned to quit pretty soon after, but I gave them 3 months notice, which was way too long. But it's tough. It is really tough to juggle that and give everything your all. I don't know about you, but I just go 110% to whatever I'm working on. And so it's really hard to give my job my all and then also give my business my all. So I can totally relate to that challenge. And then other phrases that people are using to talk about time or the lack of it and the problems and constraints around it was feeling like they needed big chunks of time in order to do some of their work and move their business forward, or being too busy with clinical work, or just finding time for these other growth marketing activities while maintaining their current income. Because it does mean, especially if you are subsisting on one-to-one client work, every hour you are taking away from that client work to go and market is an hour that you're not getting paid for that client work. And it can be really, really tough to say, okay, what am I willing to give up in terms of money in order to invest in this other thing that you're not even sure if it's going to work, especially if you're confused about the process or like, what marketing tactic should I do? And this is taking way longer. And so what was supposed to take 1 hour for you to do is now taking 2 hours. And that could have been 2 hours of client calls. So I get it. The struggle is real. Okay. The next theme was marketing knowledge and struggles with implementation of marketing. So a large number of practitioners really talked about feeling overwhelmed by marketing or not knowing where to start. And the specific things that people mentioned as challenges were the social media marketing aspect, getting your message out effectively, or just having a lack of consistent marketing systems. And even some said that they have marketing experience, but they were struggling to apply it to their own practice. And I can totally relate. As a marketer myself, I have a hard time of like stepping outside of my business to figure out, okay, what is the message that I want to be conveying here? What's the best way to talk about it? That's why it is always helpful to just have like even a sounding board or be in some kind of program or get some other kind of outside guidance, because yeah, it's just like the hairdresser trying to do their own hair. So having some outside perspective, even like just dropping in and giving you little critiques, little guidance every so often can be helpful. But anyway, I totally can understand the challenge about the marketing knowledge and implementation struggles. No, you are not alone in feeling that way. And it is definitely, I think, a sense of overwhelm, not just for dietitians and health practitioners, but probably all business owners out there, because it does take energy and it does take consistently showing up. Whatever tactic or tactics you're doing and the channels that you're appearing in, no matter what, you need to know what your message is and be clear about that. So that takes thinking and strategy and understanding your customers and understanding how to craft marketing messages. So you have to figure out what your messages are. Then you need to actually put that content out there in some way. And then you need to do it continually. And therefore, that's like a whole lot of things all at once that you need to be doing. And if you don't have a system in place or you're not making a habit of it, it can be really tough. And so then what so many of us do is that we do it for maybe a couple weeks or a couple months, and then we burn out from it and give up. And we didn't really get an idea of, did it work? Was it going to work? We don't give it enough time, but then we also feel burnt out from the process too, which is like totally normal because of all the stuff that you're doing. Yeah, you're not alone in feeling that way. I think there are ways to overcome it and put systems in place in your business and kind of step outside of that struggle of having to come up with ideas from scratch every time, or investing in labor and energy intensive marketing and actually systematizing more of it. And those are the kinds of things that I want to be helping practitioners with and talking about more. So hopefully that will resonate and help you. And then another theme was confidence and self-doubt issues. So this is something that I mentioned on the prior episode too, that I struggle with this too. I think it's inherent. So many people talked about confidence issues, imposter syndrome, fear of failure, and just self-doubt in general. And this includes like uncertainty about their abilities, fear that their efforts won't work, and just generally feeling overwhelmed by the scope of what needs to be done. And I can totally understand how, when you are trying to start your business and run your business and get past a certain point, and maybe you have some clients and you're working to get more, that as you are trying to grow and move past some of these starting phases, it requires more and more confidence and more pushing you to get out there, to talk to people you don't know, put yourself in larger arenas, do it more frequently. You're going to hear no more often than you hear yes. You know your stuff, but maybe you're also still building your confidence and just even your expertise in your niche and what you've decided to do and offer to clients. And then you're also putting that on top of, how do I market myself? How do I talk about myself? And then if you're not seeing the results, then it can really feel like you don't know what you're doing and you're not cut out for this. That is not the case. Don't think that. I definitely have thought that in the past, and it's just really so super self-defeating. Obviously, you're entitled to your feelings, but just know that I don't want you feeling that way, because it's not true. You can get help and you can find ways to move through these things and build these skills and build these muscles. You may never be an influencer, TikToker. That's okay. You can focus on building a really wonderful practice and being a great dietitian and being a great clinician and a coach and a healer and all of those things. That's what you should really keep focusing on and being really great at. And then we're going to fill in the gaps and make sure that you're really great at getting clients to hear about you and getting you in front of new people and making sure that they're really understanding your story and your message and connecting with you and all of that. But I think there's so much feeling these days like we need to become creators as business owners, and you don't need to be a creator to be a really successful business owner. Final thing was the financial pressures and the cash flow concerns. So we talked about the income that a lot of people have right now, and this was just a theme that was coming through in the open-ended question as well. Cash flow issues being an issue, financial constraints, and the need for more predictable income. Tight budgets, which are impacting practitioners' ability to invest in websites or marketing. And of course, people did cite the economic climate as well and concern about clients' hesitancy to spend money, which is very valid. So yeah, that's definitely a concern, very valid concern. Not surprised to see that theme coming through in all of the responses. So what does this tell me and what does this mean for you, all of these results here? Basically, I think that many practitioners are in this frustrating loop right now where you have time constraints that are limiting your marketing efforts. And the limited marketing is meaning that you're not getting clients, and that is impacting your cash flow, which is then affecting your confidence levels and your ability and energy to find the time or find the energy to go and do more marketing and all of that. So marketing is something that we need to be doing, but when we don't have the time, we don't feel we have the financial resources, we don't have the energy or the skills or the know-how, then we don't do it. But then it ends up hurting us. It's this really bad roller coaster or Ferris wheel. I don't know. It's a circle. Then you layer on top of that you don't know which marketing efforts to do. You don't know which ones to invest your time in, your precious time and energy in. And then you also lack the confidence in implementing them. And so it can just be compounding. And all of this is just going to result in a lot of stress. So if you are just feeling like the weight of the world is on your shoulders in your business, you're not hallucinating. This is very heavy. And I have been in the same situation in my business where I just felt like I could not get out from under the marketing that I needed to do. And it was like, I know I need to do this, but I don't have the energy to do it. I don't have the time. I don't want to do some of these things. I just felt so trapped. And it's just a horrible place to feel in this business that you created. Like you chose to create this business, and now to feel trapped in it is not a good feeling. So I look forward to sharing how I got out of it and come up with some new offers and services to help you get out of that cycle as well and to feel less trapped and start making some forward momentum and progress to get you in front of more clients and getting you marketing more and increasing your income and all of that. All right, so where do we go from here? One thing, like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm hosting a free event starting January 19th. It's just for 1 week. I have pulled together 17 other experts in the health, nutrition, business, marketing space to offer resources to you for free for this 1 week that are going to help you with the very things that we just went over. So talking about other revenue streams that you could be adding to your business, messaging and selling your group program, social media systems that you can use to make social media marketing easier for you. I have a resource in there about email marketing. So it's all about setting up systems and ways to reach more people and deliver your message, deliver your services without you having to be constantly on and burning out in the process. It's called the Reach More People Bundle. And like I mentioned, it's free. So if you want to just get on the wait list so that once we actually open the bundle on the 19th, you'll be notified. You can do that by going to whitneybateson.com/reach. And basically all you're going to do is when the bundle opens, is you go to the page, you can look at all of the resources that are included in the bundle. Even if one of them speaks to you, I highly recommend you opt in, and then you get access to download all of those resources. You just need to opt in during that 1 week time period from January 19th to, I think it's the 25th is when it ends. I'll be giving you like a little over a week to get in there. You opt in, and then you'll actually have a whole month to redeem the resources. And then they're yours forever. There's a private podcast about starting a podcast for your practice. So if that is something that you've been wanting to do and you want to just learn more about it, that's in there. There's templates, there's workshops and mini courses, creating a hybrid cash pay, insurance-based business. Yeah, I will be sharing more details about it on the next week's podcast. Also, if you're on my email list, you'll be learning about it. But definitely, I think it's something to check out. Even if one resource in there speaks to you and could help you with any of these challenges that we uncovered today, and whether it's time or systems or marketing knowledge or confidence or having a revenue stream that maybe is a higher value more income generator for you. If that is something that can help you and help you move forward this year, then that should be a resource that you check out and download and work through. Thank you so much for listening. Again, thank you to everyone who responded to the survey. If you have not responded yet, go to whitneybateson.com/survey to let me know what your biggest challenges are right now in the coming year so that I can really make sure that I put out content and services and offers that are really going to help you and help you move the needle and make sure that this year in your business is more enjoyable, more profitable than last year. So I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening.